Hello and welcome to another episode of Triple Tap. This is episode number 8. We have certainly ploughing through these episodes. We've had some great speakers so far. So welcome Lance, welcome Kent. How are you guys this week and what kind of a week have you had?
Oh, I've had a fantastic week. I live in Queensland.
Is
We
the
have to
sun
have a good
shining?
time. We've got the best premier in the world here, guys.
Is the sun shining up there, Lance, or has it been raining?
A little bit of everything. So yeah, it's good to have that variety, nice winter's days, a little bit of rain for the grass. Yeah.
And you've been busy working on projects during the week. We've had lots of exciting stuff happening in the background for the Australia project.
Oh, look, my normal day is probably sleep until about 1 o'clock and get up and have a coffee and try and go back to bed as fast as I can, guys. So I got a pretty awesome life.
That sounded like my day used to be, but lately it's doing early starts and late finishes, and there is so much going on and so many things to be involved in. It's hard to get any sleep in there. What about you, Kent? What kind of a week have you had?
It's been a very busy week. It's been a lot of fun. We've been having some good weather with a little bit of rain now. So I fly out tomorrow down to Melbourne for the Freedom Summit down there with Reignite Democracy Australia. So that's going to be a big event. And there are some tickets still available for that, but primarily it's almost sold out. Those tickets are becoming a pretty hot item. So hopefully we'll get some really good collaboration between major freedom movements across Australia and get a lot more action happening towards freedom in a coordinated manner. That's what I'm looking for down there.
Yeah, excellent. And ladies and gentlemen, we just remind you, for those of you who joined our call tonight, jumping in there, can you just please make sure your videos are always remain turned off? We just have our co-hosts, hosts, and our guest speaker on tonight for recording purposes, so that'd be much appreciated. Without further ado, we're going to get underway and introduce our speaker for tonight. Speakers, I say we've got 2 tonight, so this is really exciting. So I hope you guys are looking forward to tonight's interview. So I'll get cracking on that and then we'll get the show underway. So nothing can stop the great awakening of humanity. And I'm happy to say the conspiracy theorists were right all along. From helping wake up their mum with the COVID shit files to flyers and now a monthly magazine, Roobs and Shazza provide a much needed counter narrative in the community and the rest of the world to the constant stream of fear porn and propaganda generated by the lamestream media and the government. We will pop up a link to the magazine shortly so you can go and check them out. And they've been doing some amazing work out there. Roobs and Shazza are also important members of our Street Reps Australia project team, helping with generating flyers that will soon start to flow out once again through our Street Reps Australia app. So please make sure you've all subscribed to Street Reps by downloading the app from tinyurl.com/Street Reps Australia. I will pop that link in the chat shortly. And of course, Roobs and Shazza can also be found on various other platforms, including not only their website, but Telegram, BitChute, Brighteon, Odyssey, Rumble, Project Matilda, Gab, Twitter, co-ops of everything, and of course also by email. So we'll certainly pop all those links in there. They certainly have been busy out there in the community. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we'd like to introduce to you tonight Roobs and Shazza. Welcome guys, how are you?
G'day guys, how are you?
Awesome. Excellent.
Yeah,
Roobs.
good.
Roobs, I have
Good
to
to be
ask.
here.
Yeah, likewise. Love to have you here. I'd like to know though, Roobs, because I know Roobs isn't your birth name, right? So tell us, how did you come to getting the name Roobs? I know many people on Telegram at least know you by the names of Roobs. How did you come about by the name of Roobs?
Well, it's a little known fact. Well, not little, depends on who you are, but my real name is Spencer, and Spence kept getting banned on Facebook multiple times, and I thought, well, I need to make an alternative profile, and I chose Regis Rubens. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but it's actually an anagram of Bob Seger. I love Bob Seger. Regis is Seger spelled backwards with a U, and Rubens is a German derivative of Bob Roberts. So I went with Regis Rubens. but I was sending some white rose stickers down to a lady in Maitland, and we were talking on Telegram and voicemailing each other, and she's just started calling me Roobs. You know, how you going, Roobs? How you going, Dale? And it stuck. So that's where we're at the moment.
Mate, I thought it was because of your ruby red
military name.
What's that?
I thought it could have been an old military name they'd given you. That's what I thought.
No, my old military name's a lot worse than that.
I thought it was because of your ruby red cheeks, Roobsy.
It could be. It could, if you want it to be that way, please go with that angle.
Mate, that's not an angle I want to go with.
I have got some pretty good dimples.
Oh, right, fair enough. Not a problem.
Yeah. All right.
Well, who's starting? Who's starting, guys?
Well, Roobs,
I think Ainsley's already started.
Yeah, so
He has.
Tell us what Roobs Flyers was all about. What do you do down there?
Well, as we mentioned before, I used to be just Spence, and we started off. My mother and I had an argument back in February 2021 about. She said, "Are you going to get the jab?" Just out of the blue one day, "Are you going to get the jab?" And I said, "No." And then we had a huge argument. Long story short, I went into a couple of weeks of pretty full-on depression and not sleeping, and wondering how I can wake my mother up. And I decided, because she doesn't get on the internet very much, I decided I'll make up a file, you know, of just a bunch of papers from what I've done, what research I've done on the poisonous jab, and put it into a manila folder and just leave it on her desk. And that's how I met Shazza. I was looking for a printer to be able to print these documents up, which were quite a few. And I rang one printer, and they're a little bit expensive. And I rang Shazza the very next phone call, and it seemed very reasonable. And I walked in those doors over there, and Shazza was there. And when she greeted me, and when I told her what it was about, Shazza's been in the anti-vax movement for a long time, way before the COVID, and she was glad to help me, and I was just glad to meet another person, a small business owner too, that was awake. So we started. I made those up for my mother. I left them on her desk. Long story short, 2 weeks later, she said, "Spence, I didn't read your file, but I saw how much hard work you were doing. I saw how upset you were. I've decided not to take the jab." So I changed her mind with the COVID shit files, I called them. And I updated it for a while. And at the time, I was only on Facebook. So I wasn't even on Telegram. Roobs wasn't even, a twinkle in the old man's eye at that time. So I put it out on Facebook, and I sent it to over about 200 people worldwide, the COVID shit files, because there was a lot of people in the same boat as me, with family members pressuring them to take the jab, and I just wanted to get that information out. And we updated that, how many times do you reckon? 4?
Yep.
4 times, and it just got too time consuming. So I thought, well, how can we continue it without stopping? We didn't want to stop getting the word out, so we thought we'll do flyers. And around about the same time, Spence got banned on Facebook, created Roobs, and Roobs Flyers was born. And since then, that was about June, July last year, we've got about 1 million flyers across the country with that initiative. So that's really good.
That's amazing.
Hey, that is fantastic, mate. If I can, before you tell us the whole story, we'll get a few more questions in. I want to get a question to Shazza. Shazza, we know how he met you now, but how important is it? Give us a little insight into this bloke beside you. How important is it that he's got someone like you keeping an eye on him and helping him out and keeping him on track?
Yeah, well, I think it's an advantage for him that I own a printing company. So that's why we get all the flyers out. And I'm a graphic designer as well. So that's been, the way we've been able to get this stuff looking good out there. And as Roobs said, I've been part of the anti-vax movement for a very long time now. So I have all that information in my head that I want to share. That's
fantastic. And we got some extra questions for you about that, other organizations that you're working with coming up. Roobs, Roobs, we know what inspired you to get going with your mum. In the since the magazine's got out there, the work that you two are doing is, if I'm just jumping ahead, I'll jump ahead to question 4, and that'll get us back on track. The work that you guys are doing with the magazine is helping to wake up a lot of people across the country. And we've got a lot of people contacting us now telling us that they're not going to have the booster. I've spoken with people who've seen your magazine, and it's helping them understand a great deal about what's going on in the country. How does that feel to know that the effort that you and Shazza are putting out there is giving people a more informed choice about what they choose to do with their medical options?
Well, it makes me feel fantastic. I mean, that was the whole idea to start with. But it's not just me that's doing this. There's so many other, it's not just us that are doing it. There's so many other people out there getting the word out. But the best thing for me is is when we get feedback, whether it's good or bad. Any publicity is good publicity. And I think it was the week 5 of our flyers got in the Gold Coast Bulletin, and it was like COVID letters slammed.
The misinformation flyers, they called it.
Yeah, someone got one of our flyers in their letterbox up at Ashmore up near Southport on the Gold Coast there, and contacted the Gold Coast Bulletin, and there was Councillor Robert Lacastra from Gold Coast Bulletin giving us a real slamming, and there was this other doctor on there. But to me, that's good because, it gets the word out, it gets people thinking, gets people questioning things, So kind of things like that. And also there was a lady over in WA who took one of our flyers and actually made a full-page spread of it in her local newspaper. So feedback like that really, makes us feel great and makes us want to keep doing it and never stop.
I'd like to address the effort, right? The work you're doing is so important, but I'd like you to describe to everybody the sort of effort you put into this and why that's important, and why these other people that are sitting on the sidelines should be getting involved.
I think it's helping people not feel alone. I think the greatest thing that's coming out of all this is the communities that are being built.
100%.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, we've made so many great friends at the rallies and through the magazine and stuff. And a lot of these people were very lonely and didn't have a lot of friends and that. Now they've got this, awesome community around them and they're not alone anymore. So that's why these people are sitting on the fence. They just got to, you're not alone out there. There's lots of us here to help you.
Yeah. And we went to, when was it? Was when we were in the post office that day, and we met up with that lady, and she had a husband. They come up from Sydney. They escaped Sydney when that was really bad, the LGAs, and they've got their own little factory, and they're doing dehydrated food, and they're working on other things, and they're saying to us, when the normies wake up, we can't be there to say, we told you so. We've got to be sort of like a safety net for them to catch them when they fall on our side of the fence. And I think that, with our magazine, with our flyers, that helps to maybe not wake people up, but at least make them question things. And that's the most important part, we believe. So
what sort of daily, weekly, hourly effort would you put in to get the magazine out?
Well, we're always thinking about what content we can put in it. And on Telegram, for instance, you've got saved messages. So if I see stuff, I just whack them all in there. And then when it comes time to write the magazine, I'll go in there and I'll take a snippet of this, snippet of that, put the link up, maybe write something so I'm not plagiarizing articles, but just put little snippets here and there. And if there's an article that I really like, I'll always, give the person the credit for it. But it does take a long time, and there's only 2 of us, and we try to get the magazine out on time around the same date every month, but it's just not possible because not only are we doing the magazine, I work full time in the printing business, and I've got a 10-year-old son. So yeah, it is,
it is very time consuming.
Most of the time that we work on the magazine is after hours in this office, you know, and so really we're only doing 2 or 3 hours physical work on the magazine, but we're always compiling content, whether it be, you know, you wake up in the middle of the night and go, you know, go for the toilet and then have a look on your phone. Oh, there's something there. Whack it in the saved messages, and then you can come back to it later to you know, to put it into the magazine.
I thought I was only a crazy person that did that, Roobs.
Well, that's another thing too. Being in this movement, you know, you meet a lot of crazy people, a lot of freaks, but they're not freaks, you know. The normies, they think, you know, look at all these nut jobs, but they're really good people, and we're so glad that we've come into this, and that we've met so many new friends, and you guys as well, especially, you know.
We have.
Well, that's very.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's a nice compliment coming from you, mate. You and I've been hanging out with each other for almost a year now, and looking at the video work that you did when we were down in Canberra at Camp Epic, and the amount of effort that you and Shazza have been putting in. I just want to say I find you both to be an inspiration, and it's a total honour to work with you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. The magazine is starting to, well, not only is it reaching out across Australia, it's actually reaching out internationally. People are contacting you from overseas, I hear.
Yes, one of Shazza's friends from London sent us a letter to the editor, because Roobs Flyers we wanted it to be an old school magazine where they have all those features that they used to have in the old school magazines, like letter to the editor. You know, there's a political correspondent, there's a crossword, there's puzzles, there's win stuff, there's different contributor articles. But we've had one from London and America now, letters to the editor. So we don't have any international subscribers yet, but I'm sure that'll happen, you know, as we progress.
Well, we're going to start pushing that out. I'm going to start pushing that out to the Canadians and the New Zealanders, mate. So we'll see what happens there.
Well, we consider New Zealand part of Australia, so
yeah, fair enough.
They're in the local news, not in the international news.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sorry, Keith. Sorry, bro.
Hey, Roobs, we'll just sneak a quick one in there before Lance gets to ask a question next. Is Wendy just wants to remind you, please, to give a plug for the conspiracy trivia night coming up in August. Let's give that a plug while you're at it.
Well, yeah. Well, we don't have a date. We don't have a date yet, but
Okay.
we want to do a conspiracy trivia night
On the Gold Coast.
On the Gold Coast at the German Club, where we go for our weekly meeting for Awake Community Gold Coast, which is another TAP initiative that we can talk about later. But we want to make it all conspiracy type questions, you know, like the Awake People type questions, and we're going to write them. We're going to be the compares. It's going to be absolutely awesome and funny, and really funny.
I absolutely love trivia nights, so maybe I should fly over to Queensland for that. Then I can meet my trivia brothers, Kent and Lance.
Look, I think that I love the conspiracy theories because you've only got to wait a few weeks, and all of a sudden it's a fact. Look at the Hunter Biden laptops and mobile phones from hell. You know, that was all conspiracy theory, Russian disinformation. Now you've got it on Sky News. They're talking about it. Now they're only scratching the surface, but there it is. You know, they've got.
But can you imagine if it was Trump's son? They'd just be going crazy.
Oh, look, I mean, we all know that the lamestream fake news, left-wing narrative, you know, people lap it up. That's why we had to start initiatives like this. That's why you've got your magazine, because we can get the truth out. And it's not our truth. It's not their truth. It's just the truth. And that's what we focus on. You get the evidence and you put it out to the market and you give them the information to empower them. They make their own decision. You know, if they want to be sheep, then they're going to be sheep. But our job is to not judge. Our job is just get the information out as far and wide as we can. And so how do you sort of support the financial burden?
Well, that has been a little bit of a hurdle. I was working as a security officer for the last 4 or 5 years, and about August last year, we went to a lockdown. We went to a protest during a lockdown up in Brisbane, and the plan was we were going to meet at a certain point, but we couldn't get there because there were cops everywhere. Right, there was more cops I've ever seen in one small area in my whole life. It was like a military operation, and we got pulled up about 3 or 4 times. What are you doing here? Why are you here? Blah 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 blah. And the last time they said, look, you're more than 10 kilometres out of your zone from where you live. You get home now, or you're going to be arrested. And about 3 weeks later, I had a knock on the door. I wasn't home at the time, and my mum was home, and it was the cops. And mum said, what do you want? They wouldn't give her an answer. Long story short, they'd come around and confiscate my firearms and revoke my firearms license. And they ended up doing that. I lost my job in security. I ended up getting my guns back and my licenses back because they couldn't prove their allegations. And their allegations were that I was promoting violent protests and I had an anti-government stance. Well, the last bit's right, but I never once promoted violent protests. And what they did was cause my career to be pretty much ruined. So they said, okay, we're going to give them back. We're going to use our discretion. Be a good boy now. And so I ended up getting them back. The damage had been done. I lost my job. And it wasn't because of the mandates at all. Like that's another thing. So since then, I haven't been working. And so Shazza's been a big help. She supported, I'm not going to say fully supported me, but definitely helped. And now that we've got this magazine out, well, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm rambling a bit, but when we first started doing the flyers, we wanted to do them for free, you know, and all people had to do was pay us the postage. But we just couldn't keep that up because we'd be in Port Town in no time. So we said to people, okay, we'll make them affordable, and that's what we're trying to do with our mags. So I think that eventually it's going to be a really good income stream. At the moment, we're barely scraping along, but you know, we don't do it for the money. We do it for to get the word out, to try and help wake up the normies, and to, you know, make, and in the long run, hopefully it will become a good income stream for us.
Do you think there's a bit? Yep. Sorry.
No, go, Lance. Go. I'll help out by clarifying something about anti-government after you've asked this question.
Oh, we don't have government. We have a belligerent occupying force. It's
look,
the
thing,
government.
Look, the thing is,
nothing to do with government.
I don't think there's anyone in Australia who doesn't agree that society, no matter what the society, needs some form of governance. And I don't think that any conservative, hardworking, loyal Australian is against a good form of governance. So for them to say that you're anti-government, Roobs, I don't think you are anti-government. I think what you are anti is really bad government. I think you're against bad government, and I think you're against people who make bad decisions.
We seem to have lost Kent there. He's frozen. Lance, do you want to go ahead and ask your question? We seem to have lost Kent there.
We don't need government to come and tell us. We don't need government to come and tell us what to do. We can work that out ourselves. You know, as long as do unto others as you have to. You know, the libertarian creed. I'm a libertarian. You know, as long as you don't hurt me, I'm not going to hurt you. No matter what you do. You know what I mean?
Look, our police are so incompetent, they can't even lock up pedophiles when they've got a list by name.
Yeah.
Right? That's how incompetent they are. And they're hassling good people saying, you know, you're anti-government. Well, I'm going to say that those guys are anti-common sense, anti-intelligent. They're just a bunch of cowards. You know, they're a bloody militaria. They're not a police service. And, they need to have a good hard look in the mirror, because we're winning this, and you can see the change starting to happen. And it's because of these good operations that we're running, and they are operations to get your magazine out. We're doing the Street Reps program, get that information out there so people can see that Australia's not the lucky country anymore. Well, we are lucky. We're lucky that we're still alive.
I was born in South Africa, so our family moved here for a better life. So I've always thought is the lucky country. Maybe you don't, because you're from here.
I was in the Wharfies dispute back in 99, 2000. I was working in I was in the MUA and the CFMEU back then, and it was like, back then I thought, this is government overreach. I didn't like it, and but you get a bit complacent. I mean, I guess even during 2020, I knew this COVID thing was a load of crap, but I didn't care about it because I was working, I was earning money. I just went along with it. It wasn't until I had that discussion and argument with my mother in February 2021 that I really went down the rabbit hole and started, doing what we're doing now. So my whole life's just been flipped upside down in the space of a few years. And the same with Shazza, and more so with Shazza, because you've been in this game now for quite a while.
Yeah, I'm not, but I don't feel as alone anymore.
Yeah. Because back they were telling you, they used to tell her that you belonged in jail because you wouldn't vaccinate your child with.
Going back 10 years ago, Koshi on Channel 7 said that women should go to jail for not vaccinating their children, and you'd get people in the, at the kindies and that saying things like that to you, like you weren't invited to anything. It was So it's one of the greatest things that happened is being able to have a lot more people to be able to speak about this and be around. Yeah.
I really like what you said about you're not alone anymore. If you're a conspiracy theorist or some sort of nut job, you're not alone anymore because there's heaps of us now.
We're probably the majority now. And,
we're probably the majority, yeah.
You mentioned these celebrities, these talking heads on television that say, you should go to prison if you don't vaccinate your children. Well, when you put it in perspective, during COVID, the government sold $1 million, paid $1 billion of advertising to the commercial networks. And these losers get paid to push the narrative. So they're hardly what you would call impartial, are they? That's their job. Their job on television is not to tell the truth. Their job is to sell advertising space. And so you promote anything that you're paid to promote. These guys have no moral principles. We know about stuff, these like autism, and how that's most likely a result of vaccinations. Asthma, probably a result of vaccinations. So as vaccinations increased, we've seen all these other diseases and conditions increase in society, but they won't investigate it because it's like the term doctor. Doctor doesn't mean I'm a good person. Doctor doesn't mean I'm an honorable person. Doctor doesn't mean anything apart from the fact that you're signed up to a club to make money and to push pharmaceuticals. That's all doctor means. They expect to be put on a pedestal. Well, I think they've done a pretty good job of removing that pedestal in the last couple of years.
Absolutely. I've always said that, that these doctors, lawyers, whatever, always been the smartest in the public school system, in the indoctrination system. So they're the ones more likely to go up and do those jobs because they follow orders easily and they listen to what they're being told. But guys like me, for instance, who was the class clown and questioned everything. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I'm not indoctrinated with their bullshit either.
Yeah, thank goodness you're not a doctor, mate. Otherwise, we wouldn't have an awesome magazine going out, and you wouldn't be waking people up, and we'd be losing this war.
Yeah, but like I said before, there's heaps of other people doing it. We're just trying to do our part. We're only small. We want to expand. We want to get this magazine out to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Well, to help you do that, Roobsy, Roobs at roobsflyers.com. That's ROOBS at ROOBSflyers.com. that's the email people can reach out to you guys on to get advertising and also to get help with flyers that help wake people up. Is that's the right email?
Yep, Roobs at roobsflyers.com. Also, we've got, if you want to send us letters to the editor for the magazine, you can go letters at roobsflyers.com. If you want to subscribe, it's subscribers at roobsflyers.com. If you want to advertise, it's advertising at roobsflyers.com. So I don't mean to, put all those.
No, go right ahead, mate. Go right ahead. We want to plug the magazine.
Every one of them will always come back to the same. So we'll always receive those emails, and we try to respond to those emails as soon as we can. We respond to them all, but sometimes it might take more than a couple of hours to respond.
That's all right. Are there any, mate? Sorry, mate. Are there any major contributors, like any organisations you work with who take it out an ad regularly, etc., that you're working with?
Yes, the Children's Health Defence Australia chapter.
Tell us about them, mate. Children's Health Defence. What's that about?
Well, we work closely with them. If you don't know who they are, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in the United States founded the Children's Health Defence. And I'll give you a bit of a read of what our very first ad we put in for them. And it's basically, the quest to restore children's health. It goes on to say, everyone has a stake in the quest to restore our children's health. Children are the keys to our successful future. We don't have a moment or the health of any child to lose. With your help and support, Children's Health Defence Australia will defend the health of our children, tackle the known exposures that are harming our children, hold those responsible for harming our children accountable for their actions, and restore integrity intended to protect children from harm, to prevent these injuries from ever happening again. And then Robert F. Kennedy Jr. himself goes on to say, the sacrifices that you are being asked to make in Australia are the sacrifices that are going to ultimately benefit all of us all across the globe as we take back our democracy. So we love the Children's Health Defence, and we especially love the Children's Health Defence Australian chapter. And around Christmas time, Jason Bradshaw and Kelly Abeleven from the Children's Health Defence Australia approached us and said, we've got all this funding, we want to print flyers, we want to get as many out in the community. And we helped them do that with about 150,000 flyers up to Cairns, over to Adelaide, Western Australia, Melbourne, Sydney.
They ended up getting quite a bit of publicity in the mainstream media about it.
They did, yeah. And
that's fantastic.
They're doing a new one at the moment, and we've run out of funding, so we need some funding and for that new flyer, the Children's Health Defence flyer, which I believe is really important.
And there's a way people could help donate to Children's Health Defence. I understand if they jump on the website childrenshealthdefence.org.au, they can go to
the Australian one.
.org.au. Yeah.
.org.au. Yeah.
And for our listeners tonight, we've just dropped that link into the Zoom chat there. So
people
can go and grab that, and you'll get access to that, because they want to create those flyers for the 6 months to 5 years old in regard to the COVID jab. So last time they got out over 1 million of them across Australia. Now they want to get out 3 million of them. So they're definitely going to need our help. So guys, if you can all go there, have a look at that, help get those flyers out, help protect the children of Australia with what they're doing there. So guys, absolutely great work. Roobs, I'm just going to jump in with a question there. What about the other group, Co-op of Everything? Can you tell us a little bit about Co-op of Everything that you're working with?
They're amazing.
The Co-op of Everything is basically a social media platform. It's very similar in format to Facebook, but it doesn't have any of the censorship. It's created in Australia, and it's encrypted. It's encrypted, so it's totally off. Nothing to do with Google or any of them ones. So if you go onto the Co-op of Everything, you create a profile just like you would on Facebook, but they also have pages you can create. They have groups you can join. They have business, advertising that you can go on there and create. So it's basically just a small. It's only small at the moment, but I think it'll grow.
Super cool. And of course, for our listeners out there, we have a whole ton of links if you want to connect with Roobs and Shazza and all the amazing work they're doing with all their flyers and help them out in any way. We're just about to drop in all those links where you can get hold of the Roobs and in all of those areas. There always helps to get those out.
But we also like Gab. We like Project Matilda as well. And we don't like Facebook. And we try to minimize our time on Facebook, but at the same time, there's a lot of our followers are still on Facebook, so we've got to maintain some sort of presence there.
Yeah.
But we'd probably only, for every 5 posts we put on everywhere else, we'll put 1 on Facebook. But we want to try and encourage people to go to these other platforms that aren't censored.
Yeah. I was unaware that Facebook still existed. Is it still a thing?
I don't know, lads. I've been booted off so many times I care to remember. So I was beginning to think.
Well, I'll be booted off too. That's how Regis Roobs come about.
Yeah, look, all I've read about Facebook recently is that they're pretty much insolvent and probably looking to wind the whole thing up soon. Apparently, it's just full of fake accounts. So that's that's what I've heard. I don't use it. It's a cumbersome platform. And the censorship is ridiculous. Censoring people for having an opinion. That's it's supposed to be a community square, isn't it?
There's Roobs and some other friends all got booted off for saying Australians are stupid after the election.
Yeah.
That's all they said. Australians are stupid. After the election, they all got booted off for a month.
Yeah, I know. And like
I mean all Australians, just most.
Yeah. An organisation where the guy in charge's name is something like Suckerturd or something, isn't it? It's you can't make that stuff up. It's unbelievable.
And he's not real anyway. Have a look at him. He looks like a friggin' robot.
Yeah, I think he may actually be a robot. He's probably one of Bill Gates's cross between maybe a Bill Gates experiment and Elon Musk's cerebral implants, cerebral implant.
Cyborg.
He does look like an implant. He fully does.
And he's probably a little bit of Joe Biden as well, maybe, you think. Sort of like a big candy sort of pot.
There's a meme of him saying, on Facebook, you can say anything I like.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's look at one of the things that he must like, because you got kicked off for saying Australians are stupid. But if you're in the Middle East and you run an ad to sell a teenage young woman as a house slave and keep her passport back so she can't leave the country and she's stuck there, I think they call that human trafficking, right? So if you run that ad on Facebook, you don't seem to get kicked off.
It's fine. No problem at all.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, and if you're the boss of Iran and you say death to America, that's perfectly acceptable too. That's not hate speech. That's just good fiscal policy, apparently.
That's not hate speech.
No.
That's not encouraging.
But at the end of the day, I mean, I used to get banned for, I used to fall into the trap of trolling people and being a little bit nasty, and I used to get banned for that like 10 years ago. That's okay. Yeah. I'll get that. But now we're getting banned for just saying rudimentary things. Like one time there was this woman on one of these COVID adverse reaction groups, and I told her what we were doing with our shit files. This is how long this ago it was. And she goes, "Oh, thank you." And I said, "Oh, you're a good egg." I said, "I wrote, you're a good egg." I got banned for that. And I clicked on the appeal and I said, it was taken out of context. No. Apparently being a good egg is an insult now.
To eggs?
To eggs.
That's that beautiful leftist thing.
I was giving the lady a compliment. I said, "Oh, you're a good egg." And boom, banned, 30 days. See you later. Don't pass go, collect $200 straight to jail.
Yeah, but see, you've straight up insulted eggs, right? And so when you look at
good egg, good scrambled
LGBTQE, you know, you're going to be up against it, mate, when you start upsetting the eggs out there, I can tell you.
Geez, soon I won't be able to thank my chook for giving me good eggs.
Is eggs going to become a pronoun? Is that going to become a pronoun like egg?
Oh, no, it's just EG.
EG.
Yeah, just for example.
I just got to duck off. I've got to go to the loo. I'll be back in a sec.
That's a little too much honesty for the show. Anyway, I wanted to ask Shazza a question. Tell us a little bit about your day-to-day business. How's that been going for you through COVID? Is it keeping you busy?
Oh, when the lockdowns first happened, it was it was drastic. And the day that I had to stand down on my staff was one of the worst days of my life. So on the Gold Coast, like, we are the small business capital of Australia. And I saw most of we did as well. I saw this coming, Bill Gates said that this was going to happen, and all I could see was the demise of small business. They shut down all the small businesses. So we did have to learn to adapt and do different things. And I think a great thing that came out of it is on the Gold Coast, a lot of people started making stuff and producing more products locally. So, we've really got on that thing of helping those businesses. There's a lot of really cool breweries here now where we make, lots of people with skincare products. So it was very hard at first, and we lost a lot of big customers. But now it's good. And, we were able to, over the years, we've been able to help all the people that want to print more of the controversial stuff that they can't get done elsewhere. So like the Australian Vaccination Network and places like that. So it's, it's nice for them to have somewhere where they can come and be welcomed to get their printing done. And all the rallies and all that kind of thing. But yeah, we had to adapt a lot over COVID. But yeah, it's been a big learning curve, and we're doing well now, back on track.
Look, I really found the Gold Coast, and this is personal experience, a real bastion of hope for me, because we'd go down there, even though we're over 10 k's from home. As long as I'm in Australia, I don't care where I go, right? So because that's the law. But you'd go to the shopping centres and there was higher than average people not wearing masks. You'd go to restaurants where no one was interested in your QR coding in, and there was a real resistance down there. What do you think that is about the Gold Coast?
We do have the highest percentage per capita of, this has been going for a long time, of healthy living naturally people, or whatever you want to call us, instead of anti-vaxxers. I think it's the lifestyle and the sunshine. Like, we live here for the fresh air. We don't want to wear, we don't want to wear a mask. We moved to the Gold Coast to breathe in the sea air.
Yeah. Be honest, Shazza. Be honest. It's the hippies and the surfies. Come on.
Yeah.
It's the hippies and the surfies who don't want to be told what to do, and I love it.
Yeah, and also, what about the hippies in Mullumbimby that kicked us out of the markets?
But I also, we are the small business capital, and small business people are a lot more free thinkers. But I do agree with you. There's a lot more adventurous people here that surf and do a bit more adventurous stuff. So they are a bit more free thinking. But yeah, there was times during, we would go down to Burleigh, and it was like being in a different world, and no one was wearing masks. You could walk into all the cafes and
during the lockdowns.
Yeah, it was really
But then you go up the Broadbeach and it'd be exact opposite.
Yeah.
So it can vary by the kilometre,
Yeah.
But it was. One serves awake, the other one's not.
Is it the last bastion of true Australians? Those people out there enjoying themselves, living their life, sticking it to the man. That northern New South Wales Gold Coast seems to be the biggest and most active freedom groups. For some reason, that seems like they've got the courage.
I reckon Cairns would have to join in with you guys in that title. Cairns is Far North Queensland is they're ready to go. They're ready to go shoulder to shoulder with us on this issue. They're right up there too.
Well, I'd just like to say we're in the unique position now that we've been from the shit files to the flyers, stickers, merch, shirts, now the magazine, we've got a veritable database of where the awake people are in this country, because we've been sending them stuff for the last year and a half. So I'd like to say that, yes, Cairns, parts of around Townsville, Gympie, right, and the Northern Sunshine Coast are totally awake. Obviously, parts of the Gold Coast and Northern New South Wales, and also the Central Coast. And there's a lot of people over in Western Australia too that are awake as well.
Do you think it could be because they're more isolated from the corporations?
Possibly.
Yeah, because when you went to Brisbane during the last 2 years, it was like they were robots and zombies.
Yeah.
It was really.
But I will add that a lot of Logan's a pretty awake area too.
They are. And it's hard to steal a car when you're wearing a mask. So, hello to everyone in Logan. please don't steal my car tonight.
Oh dear. Shazza, I got a question from one of our viewers here. Has there been much backlash to your business because of your involvement in the movement?
No, I mean, obviously we don't have big posters in here or anything, promoting it. Yeah. But I think one of the greatest things is I was very alone 10 years ago, and business people didn't really talk about this. And now that it is more open, the amount of customers that now talk to me about it is amazing. So I actually ran as a candidate for One Nation in the state election as well. And a lot of people told me, you're going to get backlash. No one's going to want to use you. Nobody wants to support a racist, organisation and all that kind of stuff. And I ended up, once my picture started getting around, the amount of support I got was amazing. And, I got to meet a lot of people that in organisations that had things that they wanted to share during the election that started using us. I had massive support from companies like Cherish Life. And so, yeah, I thought you'd think that there was backlash, but on the Gold Coast, as we were talking, not really. So there's a lot of awake people on the Gold Coast, or very accepting.
Excellent. Shaz, if you can excuse my ignorance for a moment, is your printing business different to the Roobs Flyers link? And if so, just drop that to us so that we can share that with all our listeners as well. So we can also support, all the people in Queensland can also support you up there if they need any printing requirements done.
Okay, so I'll just write it in the chat.
Yeah, sure, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone who sends us an email to get printing done, whether it's through Roobs or there, it's always going to get done here anyway. So
fantastic.
Like I said earlier in the show, I'm off to Melbourne in the morning to go down there and participate in an Australian Freedom Summit. And while I'm down there, I'm going to be talking with most of the major players in the largest freedom groups across the country who are joining together there. What I'm seeing is, and what I'm thinking about here is Street Reps Australia, and how we can get everyone behind Street Reps Australia, which of course we debranded from TAP, so that it's just anyone can get involved in Street Reps Australia, which you guys help us with the information that Street Reps Australia delivers to people across the country. And what I'm seeing is weekly pamphlets going out with 300,000 Australians coordinated and unified across the country, with each one of them having a Roobs flyer magazine address on the back of it. And we can get that electronic version of your magazine right across the country, so people can start subscribing to that. People can buy that for their family and friends who they want to wake up. They can get that information. We can start pushing the truth out, and we can start waking the rest of the country up as well. Because let's face it, we're in a media marketing campaign war to wake the rest of Australia up. Now, we're not going to get them all. I'll give you an example of some of the people who we won't get. This morning, when I was having breakfast at a lovely little cafe with my wife, Linda, I walked out the back of the cafe where there's a lovely little garden, and seated out in the garden in the sun was a husband and wife, no one else around them. And the husband was coming back from the amenities without a mask on, but he put his mask on so that he could sit next to his wife. Because she was demanding that he wear a mask whenever he was within 1.5 meters of her. And I'm wondering about
He's still married to her.
Well, I'm wondering about the intimacy of that relationship, how masks play a
Exactly
feature in that.
thinking.
It only gets them, Kent, when they're out and about, not when they're at home.
Right.
Didn't
okay.
New South Wales government do a story about
No,
that?
well, New South Wales government had on their
Mutual
website
masturbation,
Yeah.
stay 3 meters away from each other. Or something.
Yeah, they were recommending people not to.
And I didn't know. I thought it was when you were seated and eating that you certainly did not have to wear a mask, because COVID knows when you're seated that it's not allowed to attack you, right?
Only when you're standing up.
Only when you're standing up. But this guy, he had it backwards,
Yeah.
right? He was, and when they drove away, they wore their masks inside the car. Okay. So we're not going to get everyone. But what I'm seeing is
You know why they do that? It stops them from licking the inside of the windows.
Mate, I wondered perhaps that they had not cleaned their teeth and freshened their breath for the morning and just didn't want to smell each other. But look, the truth of it is, what I'm seeing, and in all seriousness, is that your magazine and your guys' efforts here with Roobs Flyers and the wonderful impact you're having on the country with your professionalism and your drive, it seems to me it's destined to be rewarded as to become the principal magazine for freedom in the country. And that's what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm going to be talking to people about when I'm down in Melbourne. I'm going to be talking with a lot of people who've got large profiles in the Freedom Press, and the idea is to get together so we create a proper, a fully cohesive and united media team.
Yep.
And you guys will handle the print media, and of course Triple Tap will become the #1 show in the entire country.
Well, mate, thank you for that. Thank you for that. We do want to get more exposure for our magazine, but we understand that it's not going to happen overnight. It's only 2 of us. We've got a great team of contributors that send us stuff as well. We take a lot from you guys. The street reps. So it's a work in progress, and at the moment, it's only 28 pages long. We're hoping that as time goes on, we'll add more pages each month, and maybe in a year or so we might get up to 100 pages. Who knows? But there are other publications out there that have been doing it for quite a while now, like Nexus. What's the other one? New Zealand Herald of Natural Medicine. That's a good one. That we've based a lot of our stuff on those 2 magazines. But we really would like to expand and get more subscribers, and the more we get, the more drive it gives us to keep doing it. And I can't see us ever stopping doing it, to be honest.
Fantastic.
Let's get it out there.
Yeah. Listeners, if you're out there, make sure you go and subscribe and help and support Roobs and Shaz wherever you're going. So yeah, go ahead, Lance.
No, I think you can strike a balance between information and commerce. And I think the key has to be that advertising space, because when you look at your circulation, you could easily outdo some of the bigger newspapers in circulation now, because no one buys newspapers anymore, but a lot of people love getting good information to read because it's a tactile experience, right? I would rather read a magazine than sit on my phone, and try and read the small print or sit in front of my computer. You can carry it around. It's not plugged in. It's not giving you EMFs, any of that sort of rubbish.
An old school mag you can thumb through, mate.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. So how do people subscribe, and what's the cost of subscription? Okay,
so you subscribe via the website. So it's roobsflyers.com/ /Roobs-flyer-magazine. And I gave you guys the link, so maybe you can put it up there for us. But also, at some point, we want to try and get it on newsagent stands.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's plenty of newsagents out there that'd be open to it. We just got to work out how we're going to do it. And we've been that busy putting the magazine together, we haven't had time to scratch ourselves. But once we get this next one done, that's what we're going to do. We'll go and see if we can get it on the newsstands in different newsagents around our local area. That's all we can do to start with. I mean, we don't have, we don't know anyone in Perth, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, whatever. But at some point, you never know. It might take off and they'll have them there too. But at the moment, it's online.
How much is it?
It's $12.95 for 1 month. If you want to subscribe for 3 months, it's $37.50. If you want to subscribe for 6 months, it's $73.50. Okay, and for that, we send you a copy of the magazine and also give you the PDF as well. But you can also just subscribe to the PDF, which is $6.95 a month. And if you go to the website, roobsflyers.com, look at the top there where it says magazine, click that, and you can subscribe from there. But also you can get the back issues as well. So we've got the first issue there. That's our first one. This is the second. Evil of Western Medicine Revealed. The third, Why We Go to GG's, named the 28. Yeah, and this is our latest one. And this is the 4th edition, Community's Night for Freedom. And we'll be, we're halfway through doing the 5th one now. We're about a week or 2 away from releasing that one.
So 2 large cups of coffee, and you've got the magazine, or two cups of coffee. You got the magazine every month.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
So look, I'd like to congratulate you guys. This is what journalism's all about: integrity, honesty, getting the right story out there. This is what we're missing, and I'm going to put a message out there to all the freedom-loving people in Australia. I know we've got 3 million plus freedom fighters in this country, and it's going to take all of us working together to make the change. And 100%. Here's a perfect initiative. Get involved in it. Help whichever way you can. Maybe even think about volunteering and helping these guys expand their network. And that's what it's all about. It's not time to sit on our ass, Australia. It's time to stand up now. It's a big effort. It's long. It's hard. We're in a war, guys. If anyone thought this was going to be over in 6 months, you're wrong. But we're creating new societies, and this is part of a new society moving forward, where we can get reliable information and stay away from the BS corporate garbage that's pressed on us by the fake news.
Well, I said to Shazza when we first started doing it, we're going to be magazine mandates. We're going to be magazine tycoons. We'll have our own private jet. We can fly off to Mexico and Panama and do all sorts of stuff. But I think that was a bit wishful thinking. But maybe in a couple of years we might have sold enough magazines to do that.
Yeah, you could have breakfast with Rupert.
Breakfast with Roobs.
Yeah, Roobs and Rupert. What a team.
Excellent. Well, guys,
we also want to take, just before you go, just want to say thank you to everyone that supports us as well. Without all our followers and subscribers, we wouldn't be sitting here right now talking to you.
The TAP group that was started on the Gold Coast, which is now the Gold Coast Awake group, which Kent came to. They're massive supporters of ours, they help us sell a lot of magazines and
absolutely. And every time we go to a rally, we sell some. Every time we go down to markets, we sell some. So it's not all subscribing online. We do sell some, at stands and stuff. But generally, if you want to subscribe, that's how you do it. Get on the roobsflyers.com and follow the headings, the links.
Excellent.
Unreal.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, guys, Roobs, Shazza, thank you so much for joining us this week and sharing all that information with us. Guys, you've heard it. They definitely get out there, subscribe to their magazine, help them get the word out. We have big messages to get out to all the people right across Australia. We're going to do that through the Roobs' flyers and through their magazine and through Street Reps Australia. So please make sure you go and subscribe to each of those areas. And thanks, guys. Thanks, Kent. Thanks, Lance. And we look forward to seeing you all next time on Triple Tap. Bye for now.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot. Thanks for having us.
All
Really
right, guys.
appreciate it.
See you all.
You're
Good
welcome.
night.
Good
Good
night.
night.